Okay, call to order, 6:01 p.m., October 6, 2025. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes, here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Here.
Councilmember Hilton? Councilmember Marks? Here. Councilmember Ramirez?
Here.
Mayor Bozo?
Here. City Clerk's posting of the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The agenda was posted Monday, September 29th at 4:06 p.m.
Thank you very much. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I will start that, and then please remain standing for invocation. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take it away, Jesse.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, City Council, for the invite to do this evening's invocation. It's my pleasure. Tonight we're going to pray for wisdom, guidance, counsel, and Father above. So why don't we just go ahead and pray. Father, we come before you, Lord, and we just want to thank you, God, for this evening. We pray, God, for your wisdom, your counsel, your guidance, direction, sermon, and perspective. You to be with us through every decision that's made here this evening. We pray, God, for the council. We pray for the mayor. We pray, God, for every department, every commission within our city, for the first responders, the police department, fire, medical. We ask, God, that you would all come home safely to their loved ones and families. Father, we thank you, God, for this evening. In your name we pray.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, moving on to item 1.6, orders of the day. We have none. 1.7, it turns out we do not have employee introductions after all today. So jumping right to item number 2, ceremonial items. There's no reading of proclamations today, but I did do a proclamation for the Takamachi, our sister city in Takamachi, Japan. This past weekend, they just celebrated their 40th annual Garlic Festival. And for some of you that don't know this, it's the garlic festivals and the garlic connection that brought the two cities together to be sister cities about 37 years ago. So we did a proclamation for that, and we sent that over with some visitors that went to Takamachi last weekend. Okay, moving on to item number 3, council correspondence. We have 3 items on council correspondence for informational only. Thank you very much for those groups that submitted those. And moving on to item number 4 already, public comment. We have some public comment.
Yes, I have. I'm going to call the first 3 speakers up. Ron Kirkish, Diana Bentz, and Anne Marie Colley.
Since there's so few, do we have 20 minutes?
No, sorry. How about 3?
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank our City of Gilroy Police Department for giving me this information in regards to how many rejected referrals that DA Rosen did for the year of 2023. And as you can see, it's very, when I spoke with the person that did it, it's very time consuming. So I'm glad that she was able to do it. As you can see, there's 3 pages of these things that he refused to do. And in this case, these are all related to issues regarding drugs. These are referrals that our police department and our police officers filled out regarding their citations or arrests of people who abuse drugs, and sent them to the county, and DA Rosen refused to prosecute. As you can see, this is the case number, and as you can see, this is what they arrested him for. And then there was 1, 2, and sometimes 3 follow-up cases that these same people were caught at, and the DA still refused to prosecute. So it's very frustrating because we do have a drug problem in this nation, in this county, a very bad drug problem, and he refuses to deal with it as part of his job. In correlation, over the last couple of weeks, our federal government has struck 4 boats, destroyed the boats, the people on the boats were killed, and the drugs were destroyed. These are drugs like fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, things like that. So our federal government is trying, but our DA is not. That's the issue. Our district attorney doesn't care about drug cases and what drugs do to our community and to the people that abuse them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Diana, next, please.
Good evening. My name is Diana Bentz. I am here to just mention the translation services that are currently offered and suggest that we look at something else. I have helped do some research on what other surrounding communities do with similar demographics that we have. And, you know, currently Gilroy has over 60% Hispanic. And so we think that it's time to do something that's more adequate. This is really inadequate as far as the translation, the actual word for word translation. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Anne-Marie.
My name is Anne-Marie McCauley, and I am commenting as a citizen regarding live Spanish translation at city council meetings. I've had the very humbling opportunity to speak with 17 local organizations and citizens' experience with current translation services during meetings. This includes the Mercury newspaper reporter who actually got up and corrected the AI translation from Spanish to English during the May 5th council meeting. I've also talked with school board administrators and staff for our county leaders who are under the assumption that we were providing live translation as they do at their meetings. I've attended a Salinas City Council meeting and saw the difference in participation and representation when translation and hybrid services are offered. Probably the biggest impact on me personally is attending events that are entirely in Spanish with no English translation. If our city council meetings were held in Spanish with the current system, our only translation option, none of us would be here right now. I challenge each of you to put yourself in a situation where decisions are being made that will affect your income, housing, and children without the ability to confidently participate. The last mayor told our Latino community leaders, I don't know when your people are going to be here, so I'm not paying for it. Does this statement reflect our new leadership? I don't think so. This council has made a promise to our citizens to hold fair district elections that are specifically more inclusive of the Latino community. Some of you got defensive, claiming that it was unfair to assume white people couldn't fairly represent other cultures. Ironically, it was decided to have live translation during the council meetings regarding district elections. However, the headsets were collected after this specific agenda item. How was this decided? Who decided that the only time Spanish-speaking people were allowed real translation was during one agenda item at a few meetings? I am well aware that none of you made that decision. Now you have the truth. Now you know that the current system reflects previous leadership that did not listen to the Latino community. In a county teeming with division, it's important to see this as an opportunity to unify our city. As the city leaders, can you adequately represent the Latino community and follow through with what it takes to have fair district elections and equitable representation? Oh,
you hit 3 minutes
Sorry.
a little while ago. Thank you.
I do have an additional speaker, Donald Perino.
Thank you. My name is Donald George Toyati Shibitari Martinelli Perino. And this is a key day tomorrow for both my wife's side and my side. My wife came to America on October 7th into New York with her older sister, Mary Fatima, her younger brother, Phil, and my wife was Zilda. And they stopped in New York, and the older sister, 17 years old, had an alcoholic drink. Can't remember what it was. From her mother, her grandmother told them to take it to America for her daughter, who was their mother in America. And they stopped in New York and they took the drink because she was only 17. My wife was 15 and my brother-in-law was 9. Then they flew to San Francisco. That was October 7th. On my side is my nephew, Larry Perino. He's going to be 62 tomorrow. He was born October 7th, 1963, 1 month before President JFK died. And he's going to be 62 tomorrow. And I'd like to say to you, Mayor, and to you, Tom, you were Garlic Festival presidents. You in 10 and you in 20, Tom. I didn't realize that. I was looking at the Garlic magazine or book I got from Gilroy Dispatch a couple years ago. I just started reading it, and you were presidents. And I'm glad you got the Garlic Festival going again this year. That's all I have.
Thank you, Donald.
I have no further speakers.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 5, reports of council member. Councilmember Bracco.
Nothing really to report, just happy Italian Heritage Month.
Councilmember Fugazzi.
Yes, from Visit Gilroy. Visit Gilroy successfully completed its voluntary financial audit recently and is preparing now already for the next one. We attended a press event in San Francisco, met with dozens of media, journalists, and influencers. It's definitely going to result in future projects. And already it's resulted in a Gilroy Gardens mention of 6 Halloween destinations to treat yourself in 2025 on the NerdWallet website, which garners 19 million unique visitors a month. Recent local efforts also by Visit Gilroy include a new video reel for the Tamale Festival that now is up to 2 million views and undoubtedly resulted in more hotel rooms and patrons to downtown businesses. Finally, Gilroy hotels report that both the Renaissance Fair and the Tamale Festival have helped to bolster overnight stays.
Thank you. Councilmember Marks.
Yes. The Santa Clara County Implementation and Governing Boards were scheduled to have met on September 18th. However, the Governing Board did not have a quorum, so only the Implementation Board met. A presentation was given on the proposed Santa Clara Valley Plan Amendment, which took almost 3 years to be written. The plan's highlights are adding 7 new wildlife species to be protected, expanding the plan's boundaries, which will preserve more acreage from development, and the inclusion of valley water. The main purpose of this plan is to protect the land. Some of the species that will be targeted are the monarch and marble butterfly, bumblebee hawk, badger, and the Central Coast mountain lion. By adding 100 acres to the plan, the burrowing owl will be protected. The final approval for this amendment will be in January of 2026. The Richmond Ranch property off San Felipe in Santa Clara County's Eastern Hills is for sale under the Surplus Land Act. It is being offered to affordable housing developers, and if there are no takers, it will be sold to an individual. 675 acres of the Silver Creek and Kirby Slope acquisition have been transferred to the Habitat Agency. The benefits of this acquisition is to protect the endangered species, such as the mountain lion, Thule elk, and butterfly, and the surrounding grasslands. The agency has received an endowment which allows them to preserve the land in perpetuity. That's it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ramirez.
No report. Just want to say congratulations to the Tamale Festival. It was certainly very well attended. I took my son and his family, and we didn't get any tamales because the lines were too long. So it was very well attended. And also just a reminder, especially to all the women out there, this is October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure you get your mammograms.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein.
No report.
Okay, for myself, I'm an alternate for the Valley Transportation Authority Board of Directors. I sat in for Mayor Mark Turner last week, and one of the big topics there for Valley Transportation as well as for Caltrains is at some of the budget challenges that they have over the next 3 to 5 years. And if you have a lot of interest in transportation in the Bay Area, you should be looking for the Senate Bill 63, which is now on the governor's desk, either waiting approval or veto, which would allow it to go to the ballot box in 2026. Some of the reports that were given last week at the meeting, most of these agencies are going to be dependent on this SB 63 extension or fundraising that would come through additional taxes. So this is something that you feel strongly about. I encourage you to follow it. Second would be Gilroy Gardens. Thank you, Councilmember Fugazzi, for mentioning Gilroy Gardens. Just as a reminder, Gilroy Gardens is now into its fall schedule in what they call the Big Boo, and it's an excellent opportunity to go out and see Gilroy Gardens in a little different venue than you normally would. I attended last Friday evening. It was absolutely perfect weather and a very, very nice crowd. So if you have a chance to go see that, I encourage you to do so. That concludes the council reports by council members. Moving on to item number 6. Consent calendar. We have 5 items on the consent calendar, 6.1 through 6.5. Any comments from council members at this point? None? Okay, we'll go to public comment, please.
I do have public comment on item 6.2. Chris?
Good evening. So 6.2 is the approval for the Porcello building for through the Mills Act. So I want to congratulate Dave Liao for taking this on. And Dave was not even aware of the Mills Act until I made him aware of it. He already purchased the property. I kind of filled him in, did some research. So I'm very happy that I'm assuming it's going to be approved and move forward to the county. My concern is that there's several other people that would be participants. However, they just kind of threw their hands up. I think there's a lack of education to the public in regards to the application process, the process that involving the county for the reduction of property taxes. So my suggestions for the city council is to hopefully request staff to do a report. Well, first let me go back to have staff create a workshop open to the public, potential candidates. There's several dozen homes that are listed on the Historical Society as homes that could qualify for the Mills Act. I don't think most of those people even know that their home, one, is historical, and that there's a program that if they reinvest money into their property, in lieu of that, they'll get a return. So I just want to read this. Hopefully I don't run out of 3 minutes time here. This is the Mills Act agreement policy adopted in February 1997 by the city of Gilroy. The purpose, it is the policy of the city of Gilroy to foster and encourage the preservation, maintenance, rehabilitation, and restoration of historical properties. The city recognizes that the reduction in property taxes provided by the Mills Act will act as a monetary incentive to acquire, maintain, and restore historical properties. And then there's 10 bullet points. I believe a workshop, bringing the county in, educating the people, so that they can make a decision. Is this program for me or not? Does it make sense? I think right now they're just throwing their hands up. I've talked to staff. I tell you, I've had a great experience in talking with staff. Michael, Ariana have been very helpful. I think they're overwhelmed. I think with turnovers of staff and council members that this has kind of been dormant. So my second concern is the 21 homes that are currently in the program under this 10-year agreement. They made commitments to invest money. They had to do a fee schedule, what they were going to do and when they're going to do it. Is it being done? Is the city should maybe do an audit of each one of those properties and provide a report? Because if you're receiving a credit in taxes and you're not doing the work, then the program isn't being utilized the way it should. So, hope to hear back from you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I have no further speakers.
Okay. Any further thoughts from council on some of the consent items? Okay, I have a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.5. Motion is by Councilmember Bracco. The second is by Councilmember Klein. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco? Yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Bozo?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to items number 7.1. Award a contract to Four Leaf Incorporated in the amount of $696,292 for construction management services. Staff report, please, Heath.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, public. Heath McMahon, Utilities Director. This item is to award a construction management contract for the water utility improvements, project number 25, RFP UT 522. And so this project, the construction of the project, what it'll deliver in the end is we combined 6 water capital improvement projects, and we bundled them together. There was 6 small ones that were, we gained a lot of efficiency by putting it out. We can attract larger contractors as well as overall management and CM services and bringing it to council and all that good stuff. So we combined the 6 together. The thrust of the project is enlarging multiple locations up to 8 and 12-inch pipes. So we have 4 and 6-inch larger, smaller pipe that we need to go larger. A big part of it's due to fire flows because of the growth we've had in the commercial and industrial areas as well as residential areas. And the old pipes that we had there weren't large enough. And some of them are getting older and deteriorated too. So between the combination of those two, we're looking to update multiple locations to 8 and 12-inch ductile iron pipe. Locations was included in your packet as a map at the end, but these are the locations here. So 6 different projects, Casey and Swanston, and so on and so forth with associated numbers. And then, so for the selection process for to what we did to put out the request for proposals, RFP, for this construction management contract. So we solicited professional construction management, resident engineering, inspection, and testing services from the firms, put together a proposal, asked and told them specifically what the project was, what we need, and what the time frames were, and all those things. And on July 7th, we put out the request for proposals. We advertised it publicly. We also personally called 10 different firms that specialize in this kind of work just to make sure that they were aware of that for this competitive proposal we were putting out, we were asking for. On July 30th, we received 3 proposals, from one from SJ Construction Management, one from Substrate, and one from Four Leaf. The proposals were reviewed and scored. Four Leaf had done some work for us in the past, and they had quite a bit more substantiated experience related to pipeline in particular, specifically what this job was mainly about. And it does have some other associated pavement work and those things that need to happen, of course, as part of it. But they were the firm that stood out as far as having the most experience and doing well with the pipeline design itself and construction. So the city then negotiated our final scope and fees with Four Leaf. We modified a few things in the contract to allow for potential night work and some other things that we'd have to do to make sure our proposal that they gave us was as accurate as possible, representing scope of work. So with that, we're bringing to you tonight the recommendation to award a contract to Four Leaf in the amount of $696,292 for construction management services. We're also asking for a contract contingency amount of 15%. That'll just cover if things go long or things go odd, or for some reason we get extra services from them, just so we have it ready to go, and then authorize the city administrator to execute that contract and associated documents. So, happy to take any questions you may have.
All right. Any questions? I'll go with Councilmember Bracco first.
Yeah, we put these contingencies on every job. Can we get a report on, are they being used and how much of it's being used?
Oh, I can't answer that question. Sorry.
I'm presuming that would be a change in practice or policy to come back later on and show the closeout.
Well,
if we do that currently.
Are you referring to this particular one, or
No, all of them.
Yeah, that's
because it seems like every single one we're putting these contingencies.
That's very standard practice. That way, we don't have to come back every time there might be an adjustment. If there isn't, it's just put back into the fund that it came from. So it's a savings. I'd actually have to say I'd have to speak with the staff first to find out just what that would involve to do it and how far back we could go if we could do that.
Well, like if we could get a quarterly report like we do on our budget of how many of these contingencies they used and how many they didn't.
Can I take a look at that, if you mind? I've never had that request before. I'm sorry. I'll have to look into that, okay? Though I do have a quick question for staff. Once the project's completed, do we report out what the final budget was for that?
I don't think we currently do.
Okay. That's one of the things I need to check with staff. Okay.
Great. Councilmember Fugazzi.
Dion asked a couple of the questions, but one last follow-up in that same area. How do you come up with the percentage in general? I see some staff for 5, 10, 15. I mean, why not 40?
15, I think, is a good general just from historical as far as seeing what happens on a project. And again, as a city administrator indicated, the benefit of having it is, I mean, you got to, if you think about with the project ongoing and then change orders are very common. It's rare to have a 0 change order project. I've had a couple, but they're few. Most of the time you're going to have some, right? So then, but you don't want to get, when the construction's going, it's going hot and heavy. He's got equipment out there, the contractor's got laborers out there and all that. So it really is an essential tool to give staff the opportunity to
I understand
not
that
stop,
part.
right? So having that contingency. So, but to your point, 15% is a pretty general number. I mean, if it's a small project and a lot of unknowns, I might ask for more, like up to 20. I've seen 25, which is pretty high. But if it's a larger project, there's a little more room to absorb the changes. You know, it's a larger number, right? 15% of $1 million is 150,000, right? So you got a little more to work with. And if there's not a ton of unknowns.
So if we don't use historical, if I can interrupt you for a sec, if we don't use historical, you're just basically saying this is the HGF, the Heath gut factor. You just go like, I've got a lot of experience in this, and that's okay, you know. But aside from having any kind of look back and understanding what it has been and how we adjust for these things, you just kind of have to say, you know what, this is why I get paid the big bucks, and you guys, you know, should just take my advice. And that's okay also. 15,
I'd say, is your starting target. And like I said, I would scale up or down. There's some I would be comfortable with 10. Some others I'd be 20. But shooting in the middle 15 is pretty good, pretty safe. In general.
Excuse me, Mayor. Again, I can talk to staff and we can get some more information to you relative to if there are different categories that the industry makes recommendations. I can tell you that, yeah, there is a little bit of the gut factor in it based on previous experience, but I also believe that staff does rely on some standard industry recommendations for those types of projects. And of course, as you all know, the more complicated the project, the more chances they might discover something that wasn't anticipated. But we can get you that information.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to public comment, please.
I have no speakers.
All right. Any further or last questions for Heath? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Marks.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Ramirez. Okay, bear with me. This is a long one. Award a contract to Four Leaf Incorporated in the amount of $696,292 for construction management services for the utility improvements for project number 25-RFP-UT-522 and approve a contract contingency of $104,448, which is 15%, and finally, authorize the city administrator to execute the contract and associated documents. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Boso?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Heath. Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, introduction of new business. Update the request for direction on the Los Alamos Veterans Park Pickleball Courts project. Looking for action tonight, not a motion. Take it away, John. Direction, excuse me. Looking for direction tonight, not a motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, community. John Dowdy, Public Works Director. Tonight, we are here seeking direction from the council on the design of the proposed pickleball facility at Los Alamos Park. You received a staff report. I think it includes a lot of information. Hopefully, we can clarify if there are any additional questions tonight. Quick background here. The primary one for me is that in June was part of the fiscal year 26 budget. The council authorized $862,500 toward this project. And that was the kickoff to this project. At that time, the direction was to work on at least 4 pickleball courts, and that was felt to be doable within the budget. This has been before the Parks and Recreation Commission a couple of times over the last several months, and we have completed a topographic survey as necessary for initiating design. Straightforward, this is just an overhead look at Los Animas Park. This one probably is more important, which is the location adjacent to the dog park. To the east, to the west would be where the community room is, community facility there. And the pickleball courts obviously would adjust accordingly if this goes from 4 to 6 courts by direction of the council tonight, but that's a rough approximation of where that would be. This project would include some modification of the dog park boundary fence and some other improvements, and would include some landscaping and improvements as well associated with that, and include peripheral improvements, including accessibility, walkways to and from the dog park, to and from the bridge to the south, and to the parking lot itself to the north. This is the basic layout of what is recommended to you, which is a 4-court project. This includes 4 courts separated by internal fencing, obviously perimeter fencing with that, and lighted courts. This would include post-tension slab concrete recommendation. This is recommended in part because it was the alternative that was within what we was budgeted at the $862,000 point. And also this includes what we believe the amenity package that the council was indicating a desire to do, as well as the community. We did evaluate 2 additional options for comparative purposes and for options and consideration by the council. This included the 6-court concept and what we call the reduced amenity 6-court concept. The 6-court concept was simply the 4-court with additional 2 courts added to that, the additional lighting associated with that, fencing, but everything, including the post-tension slab that was recommended and included as part of the 4-court concept. The reduced amenity included going to AC, asphalt concrete, and reducing some of the interior amenities, which was the interior fencing, the covered cabana benches, just some of the amenities. This would also be lighted, but beyond that, it's a little more Spartan in that. And it also includes, again, the AC instead of the post-tension slab. And that's, I think, pretty well discussed within the staff report itself. Happy to answer questions as we move along with that. And finally, on that piece, we did cost estimates. Again, these were probable cost estimates. These are very preliminary types of estimates. Just don't want to be indicating that these are absolutes and positive that this is going to be where we are. We see traditionally that these include some that are costs that go down, some that go up, and we're also in a interesting tariff world where there are the possibilities, some additional adjustments in some of the materials and things that are coming forward. Particularly, the concern is fencing and particularly steel related, and then rebar that's potential with the post-tension slab. So there are some areas where that could come about. Again, happy to evaluate that, and I just realized that this is still the comparison on that rather than the cost estimates. We can go back to that. I apologize. The council approved again with the fiscal year 26 capital budget, $862,500. These were for all soft and hard cost. And these came out of the Recreation Fund 290. And the Recreation Fund 290 also includes, for fiscal year 26, additional fund balance, anticipated fund balance of $1.25 million. And as indicated in this, this money could be again utilized if the council wishes to proceed with a different project than the forecourt alternative. Again, the council tonight, as an alternative, could choose to direct staff to proceed to completion of construction drawings, and those could include one of the 6 court concepts tonight. And again, if that is a chosen path, we would ask for as much detail as possible in what you're expecting out of that. The hope tonight is that we can proceed directly into design and construction drawings and bid documents and the more specific and understanding we have of the council's expectations. That would be great. Again, most folks are asking when. What we're looking at is commence construction summer of 2026, and that is really predicated on authorization tonight to proceed to a design. In terms of the schedule, it does not matter which design you choose. This is basically the path to commencing construction in summer of 2026. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes, thank you, John, for your report. I'm going to be a very strong advocate for the 6 pickleball courts. And what I would like, because we're only going to build this one time. And so building 4 is just unreasonable. We have to go for all of it at this point. So I would like to see an estimate for both the cheaper 6 courts and then I'm getting all these hand signals from the mayor here. Or, and also a quote for the top, of the line pickleball courts. That's kind of where I'm leaning, is more top of the line, because once again, we're only going to do this one time, and so we should have the best put in. John, I have a question for you. I just heard from your report, a portion of that $1.25 million from Parks and Rec is going to go for the pickleball courts. Did I understand you correctly?
A portion could be allocated if you so choose as the council to do.
So then where would the rest of the money come from?
You've already allocated out of FY25 projected recreation fund for the $862,500.
Oh, okay.
For 26, this would, if we assume that the question might come up, which is where would we take the money if we wanted to go to a 6-court option. So this is from Harjo. His recommendation would be to again go back to the anticipated ending fund balance for FY26, which would be.
So then technically only about $300,000 would come out of Parks and Rec's fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then I say we shoot for the moon. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go to Councilmember Klein next, and then Ramirez, and then I want to go full disclosure here for the community. The reason why you're seeing hand signals up here is because we have new technology being introduced to us as council, and so that's what's going on here. So forgive me, I'm slow. Okay, so Councilmember Klein, I am doing half technology and half 1,000-year-old technology, and that's eye contact. So sorry. Go ahead, Klein.
But looking at the site, I like the site, and I'm like Councilmember Marks. I do want to go. I think we have this moment to be able to move forward with this, and 6 is the reasonable one. I know all the correspondence we're getting is 6. So we're at that point where I think 6 is the way to go. How we pay for it, how we get there, I think. I like the location. You go over there, and it's got a row of trees on the west side of it, which provides a lot of shade for it. It's not going to be under that hot sun like you see if you see the tennis courts. They're under that hot sun all the time. And the pickleball area is going to be reduced from that constant heat. So for me, talking about post-tension concrete, maintenance and all that, but going the other way, AC, it's not going to be under that strain that the other ones are under constantly. So to me, that's a viable option to look at because of just the exposure that site has. And then the amenities, I think, like any project, if we're trying to save money, you just make a shopping list in your bid request, we want to know what these alternate, you set those amenities as alternates, and then you see what your bottom line number is when it bids out, and then you can subtract or add to the bottom line to get the project that you want. It helps to get a better understanding of the cost and being able to go back and forth. I don't know, your experience, have you done it that way too? When you have...
We'll talk bid alternatives. There's a good and there's a bad in my estimation of doing that. If you include everything that you want in the base, as much of what you want in the base bid, that generally assures you the best possible per unit cost and project cost for that. If you set your base bid at X and you ask for bits and pieces and for them to bid out for each one of those bits and pieces, they don't know whether they're going to get those added to it. And so you do lose usually some cost benefits when you allocate out multiple pieces of that and say, tell me what it's going to cost to do this, as opposed to it being all bid as one.
Right.
So I think you can do, you can end up costing yourself more money in some regards. I think that there are things, one of the things that we have looked at is we have this question about post-tension versus asphalt. We're not sure where that's going to exactly. We think around 2.5 times more expensive for post-tension. We could do certainly a bid alternative and go out with asphalt and say, but tell us what it would cost for post-tension. Right. So that's certainly something I think would make a lot of sense to at least know what their estimate is, because that's a large unit piece to that point, and it's really just replacing AC with concrete in that instance with that. So you don't really lose anything because they've got a whole project.
Right.
So I think we could work through the bid alternative. I don't want to make light of that, but that's why I would be a little hesitant on too many pieces, because I think you're going to hurt your bidding environment.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the amenities.
Yeah.
In that sense too.
Certainly the cabana, benches would be certainly one that you could say we could come back and do those at a later point. Let's find out what they would cost as a bid alternative.
I see that a lot on projects where
makes sense.
Those finishes. Those
it makes sense. Those can come in later.
Separated. Yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Thank you, John. Just a couple of questions. So I came up to the same dollar amount based on your based on your report. It would be an additional $300,000+ if we went with the proposed 6-court concept using the concrete post-tension slab. And you mentioned it could come out of that $1.25 million balance. Is there anything else currently or hoping to come be earmarked for that from that account, from that balance right now?
Nothing capital-wise. That's generally been the operating, and Bryce is better. Okay with Bryce coming up?
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Ramirez. The only thing committed against those funds is the pending assessment. So once the scope work is completed, come back to council for authorization to release the RFP. Those funds will come out of there. But it's not anticipated to have any conflict as far as balance. We'll likely still have quite a fund balance in there.
Okay. Remaining. Okay, so that's one of the concerns that I had. And then, it's obviously I want to go with the top of the line. My concern is that without seeing bids and these only being estimate costs with, to your point, a lot of unknowns, the invariables that we really don't know, I go back and forth. If you get the bid for the 6-court, premier concept, and it's exponentially more expensive than anticipated, I'm not sure that I would like to go to the 6-court reduced amenity rather than the 4-court concept. And my thought process with that is I think I would much rather have 4 courts that last much, much longer than 6 courts that start to get cracks, but now we don't have the funding to fill in the cracks or maintain and things like that. So personally, and I hear your comment that you made to Councilmember Klein, but I think I would really like to see a bid for all 3 so that we can determine, especially if the premier 6-court concept for some reason is beyond what we can afford.
Let me take a whack at that one.
Okay.
Typically, your bid alternatives are also often called alternatives, which are the additional added things. Generally speaking, in that public bidding environment, you're talking about adding things to the project, not subtracting things from your base bid. We cannot bid at that point 3 different alternatives. We're going to have to choose which one we go with. We can include added things to that and ask for them to bid on those that we're not obligated to take. So in that instance, you could say take the 4-court alternative and land at that point and say we'd like you to give an add-alt bid for what it would take to add 2 additional courts and make it a 6th court with the post-tension concrete. I suppose you could also say give us one that says for your AC as well as that. Certainly it's an option. But that would be basically your add alternates are adding to the project, not subtracting. So we'd have to start from that 4-court and work up from there, which I think is what you're saying. It just, and most people it would be, well, do you want the 6 or the 4? We could start at 4 for bidding purposes. But again, the more complex that bidding process gets, it will scare off some people from challenging difficult bids and for the unknowns that they have in terms of what we're going to choose and what they may give us in terms of best price point on the base bid. So.
Councilmember Fugazi.
I might have a few questions. With these options, I know the Parks and Rec Commission obviously had a lot of say into this, but when it comes down to what they want to have other than 6 courts, which is obvious, and love it, was there a study session done, or is there a specific subcommittee that you sat down with and said, yeah, we want to have all of these things, we want to have these cabanas, we want to make sure that we have 6-foot fences instead of 8-foot fences, or any of those kind of things?
We have, we actually went to the Parks and Rec Commission 3 times. First was a very conceptual level where we laid out sort of the laundry list of things that we would imagine seeing in this. You have at least one regular pickleballer on your commission who had a lot of input in this. But we went back 3 times and talked about the amenities package. Those were open, publicly noticed for the community, and that's how we got to this point. We also looked at as staff many different projects, different concepts, and basically tried to pick out sort of the best, the worst. One of the things that we heard a lot from the community members and even from our commission members was that Morgan Hill, the 4 courts at Morgan Hill just don't work, and here's why. So we heard that. We did receive comments.
Let's hear that.
And everything. For Morgan Hill, it was not about asphalt versus post-tension concrete. It was really about the spacing between the courts, the lack of the individual fencing between the courts, and just a challenge there in terms of the tightness of those courts. Also, I've heard some response in terms of just the fact of limited amenities, no cover, no covers for them. I'm not sure where the closest water fountain is, things of that nature. The primary issues were just the playable element to that.
So given the restrictions that obviously you're asking us about, which is here's these 3 choices, Obviously, you don't have the over $1 million. Was it posed to them, hey, if you don't have the $1 million, you obviously can't have your 6-court beautiful one, so there's 2 choices left. Which commission would you choose out of those 2?
The last commission meeting, we came with a 4-court option. We had shown them a 6-court option earlier, but again, among various issues, we came back primarily with the 4-court because it was meeting budget.
So you're saying that given the reduced amenity 6-court concept and the 4-court concept in front of us, that if we went to that commission, they'd say, give us 4 awesome courts instead of 6 with the reduced amount?
I think that would be impossible, and then to gauge exactly. What I can tell you is that we had an extended voir dire time at the commission meeting, the last meeting there, on the issue of 6 courts, and I think clearly the consensus was if we could afford the 6 courts and it had the amenities that we're looking for, that would be their preference.
Of course.
I
think that's obvious.
There's nothing unique about that answer, but that's what we were really talking about at that point. It was not about, now, one commissioner, I'll say, said, I don't really care about the fences in between the courts. Okay, that's one commissioner's opinion.
But in short, just because we're for time, nobody was given these 3 options, said you only have this much money, which one are you going to pick?
No.
Okay. So Morgan Hill, there's some things that are different also that maybe you can comment. I saw you had listed there's 6-foot fences, but I believe they have 8-foot fences on the Morgan Hill one.
I'd have to look at the
plans. The 6-foot windscreens, I think, because I think they complain because the wind goes above and below those. That's what I was told over there. So that's something definitely to look at. And it was $368,000 for 4, and they have asphalt, right?
They have asphalt. I believe the actual, I don't believe that 368. That was the construction. I don't know exactly what their soft costs were in there. I believe from my conversations with the Public Works Director, the overall project was closer to 400 when you included soft cost, design, and everything in there, about 400,000.
So adding 10% for construction and 50% for 2 more courts, right? You're at like $600,000, $640,000 without having lights.
Without lights.
Right. And without having fencing down the middle of the courts, basically.
And a smaller
couple of cabanas and a couple of
smaller footprint too. Their AC costs were less than what any of
and
our
that long pathway. We have a long pathway.
Right, because they have decomposed granite. Right. Okay. And the lighting, I know I sent you a message about solar lighting, and I think in short, you told me it'd be $60,000 less if we use solar lighting instead of the electricals. Did I miss that?
No. What we found was that at this point we can't find a supplier, but doesn't mean there aren't out there. We just hadn't found one that could meet the lighting standards that you would expect for this type of playing surface.
There are some out there. I did do some
and I'm not saying they're not. We just hadn't located them at the time. What staff did indicate in your report was that for the 4-court project, and that would apply also with additional cost savings, we could reduce the number of fixtures we have, meet the standards requirements, and cut about $60,000 off of this for the lighting.
Oh, that's what it said.
That's what I intended to say. It may
so
not.
You overbid it before by putting too much light, and now that you went back and took a second look, you can cut the lighting down.
Yeah.
I mean, at least by my, little bit of research, for 6 courts, it could be around $100,000 for independent solar. So I definitely would look. Plus, we also get to be green. Plus, we also don't have ongoing electrical costs, which can offset the resurfacing of the asphalt, all of that kind of thing that goes along with it. Now, the timeline, I saw your timeline on here, and at least by what I looked at, the Morgan Hill timeline was a lot better than that. And again, I hate to keep bringing up Morgan Hill, but they are neighbors. What I saw is they got it approved in April of 23. They put it out to bid in September of 23. They got the builder approved by the council in December of 23, and they had the first ball in the court in September of 24, thereabouts. So is that too aggressive, you think, for us?
I stand by this schedule.
We can't get it out to be advertised for the project until 6 months from now?
After design. That's after design. Correct? Isn't that after design? That's after construction design.
This timeline includes construction design.
From now till
and
spring.
bid specs and everything with that deal. We're talking about probably March, April 26 for the advertising of this. I mean, we're at second week almost of October, and you have a lot of holidays and a lot of issues that start to compress that schedule. And
I hear you. I just, again, in the research I did, it took a lot of other cities a lot faster than this, so I would hope we could do it faster than that.
If I could, Mayor, one of the issues that we are choosing to reduce cost, frankly, to keep design in-house to the extent that for what we can, which is virtually everything. We're trying to deliver this using general operational expenses from Public Works rather than trying to apply that cost and staffing cost for design into this to try to keep the budget.
If we went outside, what would it cost?
If we went outside, I don't know what that is. My guess is $300,000. 250 to 300,000 probably
pickleball courts.
For pickleball courts, because I can't get anything out the door for 150,000 or less than that these days for virtually anything. We'd also have to go through a solicitation process to find them. We'd have to come back to you as council, and we would lose all that time that we would be trying to solicit an outside designer. We don't save time.
All right, no, I get you.
This is what we've been trying to go
out
through.
There at like Fresno, they cost $68,000 to get their drawings in, and again, they did 4 courts along with a futsal court, completely everything in for $998. So, and this is a year, just 1 year. So, please, we want to have the best stuff, but we also, want time and the money. I'll leave it at that. I've had enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bracco?
Yes, I don't think we should even entertain 4 courts. I think we need to just go with the 6, because otherwise, a year after it's done, we're going to look back and say, wow, we should have went with the 6. So I think we ought to do that. And we need to just say, let's go do it and send it out and get it bid. I mean, this has been going on a year already, and we haven't gotten anywhere. All we do is drag our feet on everything, and while we do that, the costs go up and up. And I think we should go to get somebody outside because I think that's just best. We handled Donald Prieto Park in-house, and it didn't turn out so well. So I would prefer that we go outside. And I would really like to see a picture of these $1,100 garbage cans. I've never seen what one looks like.
I have a question for Councilmember Bracco. You said it's been going on a year, but didn't we just approve this in June in our budget?
No, we've been talking about pickleball courts for a long time. Talking about,
right? But we just approved this in our budget on June 2nd of this year. So I think that's when the time clock starts, doesn't it?
Well, the budget became effective July 1,
Yeah,
so
right.
we've been operating since July 1.
But everyone agrees. Time is of the essence. Let's get it as fast as humanly possible.
Did we even consider the sports park? I mean, we have this sports park, and we keep putting stuff in the parks instead of out at the sports park.
The Recreation Commission came with a recommendation. And
They don't answer to the voters.
Right, but we approved it. We approved it.
But were they even given the option of the sports park?
The Recreation Commission can choose whatever park they want. You guys did a study on different parks around town. You didn't just go right to Los Alamos. Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Public comment, please. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, you know what? After listening to all this, I'm going to agree with Councilmember Bracco. I think we should just look at get the bid on the 6, but I would prefer the 6 with all of them. I will say, as a pickleball player, the safety issue without having, especially with 6 courts, I play with 2 courts with tennis stuff in between, and balls are constantly going into other courts, and I think it's a safety issue. So I want to see all the amenities.
Thank you. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
John, how far is it from the bathrooms?
Well, you have to go around the building.
I can answer that question. There's 2 sets of bathrooms over there on the Mantelli side. It's very close. Very, very close.
100 feet of the parking lot?
And they have 2 large parking lots on that side, and it's close.
I can put you.
Okay.
You want to see it?
He's content with that answer.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to public comment.
Yes, I have Matt, followed by Luis and Wendy.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Matt Belwamini, and I'm pleasantly surprised to hear all the comment. That's fantastic. 6 would be our dream. Again, Morgan Hill. I live off Dryden and New Avenue, and going to Morgan Hill sometimes at 4 courts is just super congested. And like I said, they did it at kind of a low budget, and it's not what they were intending. There's people waiting all the time. Balls are all over the court. You're playing a game, and you have to pause your game because the ball from their court comes in. So the fences are awesome. I did build a court at my house about 2 or 3 years ago. There's a great company called Saviano. I'm not sure if we got bids from Saviano. He does about 200 or 300 courts a year. They're out of San Jose. They did San Jose State. They do all the country clubs reasonable. My court was $36,000 all in, from flat dirt, 12 inches of base rock, 4 inches of asphalt. There's not one crack, and that's 3 years later. Again, we had just flat dirt already, so post-tension concrete would be better, but again, asphalt is very good. I do have a friend who built a couple courts in Hollister and used the solar lighting. He got supposedly the best solar lighting. He gets like an hour out of it, hour and a half. So by the time it's 6:30, right, like at Los Animas, we used to play tennis over there, you just would push the button and the lights would come on another, 30 minutes or so, and you just kept pushing the button. So I know the solar lighting, it does have the green deal, but it's just the cost of the batteries, and they just don't last, right? It's like having to charge your car every 200 miles. So I would recommend, especially on my court, I put these 400-watt LEDs. You look at my meter, it doesn't even have one light on each side. So that would be my input. And let's see here. The $800,000 does seem like plenty of money. Again, I'm not sure with all the pathways and stuff you guys want to do, but based on maybe outside, like Dion, you said, looking at an outside guy, your design is awesome. Whoever did that design, phenomenal. I guess that is in-house from the city. Love it. Love everything I see about it. I go up to the hub in San Jose. I'm going to the Nationals in San Diego. I've been to five national tournaments. I have about 40 different medals in pickleball for my age group, and I love the game. It's really great for the community. And I love the comment, because about 2 or 3 years ago when we started here, we're just like, forget it, let's give up. But I'm glad you guys have kept it going, and my hope and prayer is that the timeline is not that bad. I think if you guys can approve it by April and start construction by, spring of next year, I think that timeline was great. So you're talking about the timeline? Good question. Let's push them to get it going, but I'm excited to help, and let us raise money for some of the cabanas. Let us raise money for some of the seats. I remember there was like a $50,000 grant by, I won't use their name, but I know there was $50,000 from one of our pickleball members that was willing to kind of help this along. But don't feel you guys got to do all the cabanas. Let our group put some skin in this too. You guys do the main, and then we'll contribute some of the rest. So thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt. Luis, please.
Luis Ramirez, current chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission. I wanted to address a couple of issues brought up by council. The way, just so you're clear on how we ended our last Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, we ended up with, we received a couple alternatives. It was a 4-court option and a 6-court option. That's the first time I've seen the 6-court without the amenities, which to me, I would never approve. I don't think our commission would approve either. We ended up that we did want to have the 6 courts, but we were cognizant of the money. As I've said many times before, all of you here and in public, our parks are in bad shape. Our recreation services are lacking. We have an aquatics program coming up, so I'm all for doing 6 courts, but I don't want an extra $300,000 coming out affecting a playground structure we're going to put in. That was planned to put in, but now we're going to have to wait to put it in or update it or put a shade structure because we're building the 2 additional pickleball courts. We have pickleball courts at South Valley. We're working on a joint use agreement with the colleges, with the high schools, to use more pickleball courts. I'm for the 6 courts, but I would not want the extra $300,000 to come out of our budget. That was the consensus of our meeting in the last meeting, and I would hope that we'd honor that. If you do use that extra $300,000, then I'd like to see $300,000 back so we can do what we want to do at the parks and with our recreation services. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy.
Hi there. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are all supporting the 6 courts. I think it is a great plan. I go to Morgan Hill, and sometimes all 4 courts are busy, well, all the time, and 20 deep of us are waiting. Same with Gilroy on the weekends. There's 20 people of us waiting to rotate in. All 4 courts are busy. So I think it'll be really well utilized. I think the courts should be out of a good surface. There's been some tournaments that are fundraisers for local organizations, and I think that would be great to have that set up. The amenities, I'm not a person who really cares. I sit on the ground at the court, and I bring an umbrella if I really need one. But I definitely think we should do at least 6 courts. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
I have no further speakers.
All right. Back to Councilmember Ramirez.
So I just want to clarify something because I asked specifically if there was something earmarked with that 1.25, and then I heard play structures. Is that something that's just kind of you want, or is that something already earmarked?
The only item that has been committed with that money is the recreation assessment.
Further questions for John? Councilmember Fugazzi.
This has been, I think, super productive, and we've got a lot out of this so far in terms of 6 courts obviously seems to be the way to go. I loved hearing from the public to say, hey, the stuff that's not bolted down, or I should say bolted down lightly, let us go do that. Finding $60,000 out of, that we overbid the lighting and whatnot, I think if I could create a motion to say, let's approve it for 6 courts with the concrete and leave out all of the other kinds of goodies that somebody else can raise money for and give them a reason to come do, whether it's cabanas or benches or this bench is dedicated to so-and-so, and get it bid that way. I think that's where the community is going with this, and that's the way I would move it.
Could I do a friendly amendment on that?
Yes.
So I would, to go back to what John was talking about with the add-ons, I would like to propose that we do the good, what's the good? The premier.
So you're saying 2 ways. What you're saying is the base to do it 2 ways, basically to.
Well, I want the good concrete, whatever that is called.
Right.
At the AC. Okay.
Post-tension concrete.
Post-tension concrete, and then perhaps do it with the lights and the fencing, but maybe the add-ons could then be the benches, and if it's beyond what we want to spend, then we can put it out and say, look, we've done this, and then if people want to do fundraising for the benches.
Well, I know we're going to have to find additional funding probably no matter what in order that, or are you going to come back, John?
Well, at the point of coming back to bid and award a contract, we would ask for that budget amendment at that point based on what's required and necessary at that point. I think it would be helpful for staff to know where you're comfortable, whether that's roughly the $300,000 point. if I could suggest, the adult, I think, is perfectly legitimate with the benches. We could do that. My hope is that the pickleball folks and somebody in the community, before we even get to a bid point, they would say, look, we want to throw some money toward that and deal with it. And I think there's adequate time for those folks to come forward with excitement with the rest of the project coming forward. So we could even remove that as an adult if unnecessary.
So then as a motion, though,
I was going to get back to that.
yeah,
but,
get back to now your amended motion, because there were things that I wanted to make sure was in there. I would like to have, though, I would like to see the cost difference between the concrete and the, what's the other one called? Asphalt.
Yeah.
You know, the.
So we're going to get all this.
Yeah.
It's okay. Discussion's good. We're going to get this all together.
All right.
I know we will.
Let me just finish my motion.
Go
I'll
ahead.
add in what Kelly had there, and also try to take into account what you were saying with getting some sort of an idea of where you would be and where I am comfortable with this, and then see if the rest of the council's here. So I would say six courts, doing the concrete, leave out all of the other items with a ceiling of $1 million, and if we come in under and there are other things in there that this community has not ponied up for, that we spend it on those things. Does that incorporate what you were saying, Kelly? No?
No, I
Not for me yet.
Yeah, I don't like that, because when you
Okay,
say
I'm
leave
close.
out
I'm
all
close.
the other things.
I'll pull the motion. I'll let somebody else make a motion.
No, good. That's
We can
good.
refine it.
We'll get it.
But when you say leave out all the other things, I don't know what that means.
Well, they're
And
written as written in.
in the budget, correct, but I just don't want anyone coming back to us later saying, well, we can't do it, this is what you people approved. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's a needed.
No, that's why he said when he went up there.
Are we doing a motion or are we giving direction?
Okay, it's
But
correct.
are you going to pull it so we can have the discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it.
So it's pulled, and we can still have a discussion. What's that? He started a motion, but it wasn't second. So he's pulling it for whatever it was. The conversation continues.
But I thought we were
Council-
just giving
Hold on a
direction
second.
today.
Yeah, we are,
Tonight.
exactly. But
no
Councilmember
motion.
Klein was next. Hold on a second.
No, I just, again, the concrete is great, but I want that other side of what the AC cost would be.
Yes, yes.
Because again, I look at the site, and that site is not under direct sun like the tennis courts, like Morgan Hill. I went to Morgan Hill today, and that's pretty tough there. There's no shade anywhere. And I think that site bears where you can look at that at least as an option. And you could go with it, and it wouldn't be an issue, I don't think, overall.
So I'm with you on so I'm going to take my chance here to have a comment. So I'm with everybody on all of the options that we want. I just think that there's a different way to do it. Typically, I believe when we do bids like this, Councilmember Klein, you and I have some experience with this. It's not that special of a deal, but we start at the low, right? So usually when they release these bids, they start at the low. So in this particular case, what I believe would work best is we say, we want the four-court concept with all of the anonymity, all of it. We want the best, right? We want the 4 and we want the 6. And we also want, we want the 4 and we want to alt bid on the 6. It's simple. The price for 4 with everything and the price for 6 with everything. So we always have the chance, if all of a sudden the 6 courts is $1.8 million, we can say no thank you. And we can take the 4 courts. Because if we do it the opposite way, right, we have to go back out to bid again. And that's what we're trying to prevent, right? We don't want to go back out to bid. Help me out here, sir.
I'll also actually lead on Andy on this one as well. But we have to have a bid project that we're proposing, and that is the design. You're also asking us, in essence, to have designed for both a 4 and a 6 court and do all of the work, everything with that. So that's going to add time and effort to doing some of that. So I just want to be clear about what that means. It's extra
design work,
additional design work. But basically, you want to start with, for public bid, a project, a very clear project. Typically, the bid alternatives are, we'd like the cabanas. Tell us what the cabanas, because we're not putting that in the base bid. We're not putting that in that one. Tell us what those would cost. Tell us what the interior fencing would be. We don't have it in the base. So those types of things. you're asking, in essence, for in that scenario, really to bid two different projects and try to do that under one bid, and I think that's a challenge. We certainly could alternate or get the alternatives with AC and concrete. That's not a problem. That's not an issue at all. That's easy enough to do in terms of material. That's common. But we can always, and I hate to say this, I mean, we can always find that the 6 quart is too expensive. But if you provide the alternative between the 6 being AC or 6 being concrete, you've covered a wide gap of differential in the pricing point with the same amenities. So then you can make a decision at that point when we come forward to say, we have a bid alt, here's what the cost would be to go to post-tension slab as opposed to what the base bid of asphalt is. Okay. And you'll know exactly what that is. Right now I can tell you a good estimate based on real bids, what we're seeing in terms of in the marketplace. I don't know what that's going to be in 6 or 8 months from now. I think it's going to be relatively close, I hope. But I don't know that. But that would be the recommendation, is to start with a 6 quart, go AC, or start with the post tension and say, but we want to also see what AC would be with that deal. That's easy enough to do because that's just an issue of the material we're talking about.
I don't think we're going to be in a situation where a 6 quart with AC is going to exceed our budget, right? I think that's also what you're getting at. So if an AC comes in and the total of all of his things are $800,000, and then you get the post tension and it comes in at $995 because they know also when you stuck it on the bid that, hey, we're aiming at $1 million, then they start shooting for getting the maximum out of the bid. At least that's how I saw it happen in Fresno.
Then we're back to, do you have some comments? Go ahead.
I did. No, I like what you just suggested, because under no circumstances do I want us to go backwards to 4, no matter what. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some like non-negotiable pieces to this puzzle that need to be there. And, you know, definitely fencing, definitely the electrical for lights. And it has to be 6, because we are going to really regret if all of a sudden we just kick it out and we go to 4. And I'm sorry, Parks and Rec Commission, you know, if you didn't want us using any of that money, if we have to, we have to. But I think this would be a big mistake if we reduced it down to 4.
So if I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying is the best way to do this is say, give us a bid on 6 with the concrete and with the fencing and the lighting, and then do an alt ad for the post tension and also the cabanas, covered cabanas.
Sure.
I'm writing that down.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's good. But remember, the pickleball group already said, you know, cabanas are not 10, and with a bench are not 10,000 each. They're 3,200.
But that's why they're getting alternates.
So you know, they're getting options. But you know, they could help out. They could help out with the windscreens also. But the main construction, you know, what they really need, the fencing, you know, stuff like that, the city picks it up. So instead of a motion, do we just do do we do a?
It's direction, yeah.
What we want?
Direction. I think
Yeah.
Kelly, you said it best so far. So can I try to say it back?
Yeah.
And everyone can give me a thumbs up or not if I get it right. So we would like to give direction on the 6 quart concept with AC asphalt, with add alts of post tension concrete and amenities like cabana.
Fencing, lights.
I would say perimeter fencing, the wind fencing.
8 feet needs to be.
Perimeter fencing.
And the cabanas.
Wind screens and cabanas.
No,
Do you want
no.
fencing in between the courts, though?
Yeah, fencing. I think fencing in the courts, and I don't mean perimeter fencing, but I mean the wind block, because the perimeter fencing has to be up there. So I would say the alt ads are the post tension, the covered cabanas, and the wind.
The wind screening needs to be there.
Windscreens.
Wind screening needs to be there.
Windscreen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's that work, sir?
But if I could ask for one clarifying.
Please.
I think Councilmember Fugazi had indicated maybe add all to being 8-foot versus 6-foot perimeter fence.
Or at least examine.
And it seems like a logical thing to do. Let's find out what the cost differential on that and deal with it.
What's the height of the tennis courts? 8 feet?
They're at least 8.
8
I
to
think they're
10?
10. I think they're 10 actually.
Well, then not 6.
No, not 6.
So you're gonna all add the 6 and the 8. Okay.
And you got the fencing in between the courts, correct, John?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not an alt.
That's not an ad.
Given.
Okay,
Not an alt.
good.
Okay.
All right. We did it.
Meeting adjourned.
Moving on. Thank you very much, John. Great presentation. Moving on to item number 9, City Administrator's Report.
No report.
Moving on to item 10, City Attorney's Report.
Same.
All right, thank you very much. Adjournment.
Good job, guys.